Alright, so welcome back to Maintainer's Garage. I'm Bags. For finishing up, well, I hope I'm finishing up fixing the ABS and traction active handling, problem from the last video. We troubleshot it. I read the code, showed you how to read the codes, and we've been troubleshooting, checked the grounds. Those were all good. Didn't fix the problem. So now we're going to get into the BCM, the body control module. The ECBM. The electronic body control module. My brain's a little fried. It's freaking hot in here in Atlanta. I'm not doing so well. So I'm gonna take that off, and there's some solder joints on it that go bad, much like the HVAC controls or climate controls that I did previously. So again, another known problem that's out there on the internet, Corvette forums specifically. So I'm gonna start tearing this thing apart. Let's get into it. That locking tab right there, yeah, so that locking tab needs to come out. Okay, so we're going to try to get that locking pin off. Hopefully I got a good picture of it with the video, and it'll just slide straight that way. And then there's a handle. You just push straight towards the driver's door. And that should do it. So down in here, I'm going to do my best to, there's a little small connector directly under that large connector I just removed, which is right there. There's no corrosion in it. So directly under that large connector is a small connector. Now we've got 6 20 Torx tips that I'm going to see again. Yeah, this sucks. I cannot get a good picture of that, so when I pull this off, I'll get it up to the camera, and that way you can actually see them. Okay. So the bottom 2 I can't see, and I just put my screwdriver down around there, the head, and pushed in and felt, or the tip, I'm sorry, and pushed in until I felt the head of the screw, and then I just bumbled around with it until it got in. And again, I cannot see this fastener. However, they are magnetic. I can take my little magnet, put it right around the head where it should be, and it comes right out. This thing, this module, is attached to the ABS pump. It's dry, but it's got a gasket around it. You've got to push towards me slowly and carefully with a flathead screwdriver, just a little bit, to get it unseated. You want to do your best not to tear that gasket off. When you think you have the seal, all the way separated, stick your hand down in there and basically grab the whole assembly and pull it towards where I'm standing, which is also the driver or the passenger side. and with a little bit of persistence, frustration, and some cussing, this is what you end up with. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fasteners. Yeah, no corrosion in here, so I got to take this thing apart, which 1, 2, 3, 4 fasteners. So let me get set up to do that. Okay, so what we have is these 4 fasteners, and then this thing is sealed to all get out. So this has some sealing all around it. We're going to try it and pry it up. If it can't pry it up, what you end up doing is there's a hole full of silicone. So you clean that out, and you end up tapping this cover out, and you're not going to hurt anything. But we're going to try it differently. May fail, but we're going to try it differently. See what happens. So yeah, this has been kind of fun for me. A little stressful, but fun. You know, I thoroughly enjoy this. Working on my car, playing in my garage, and it's all about my attitude specifically, but also just in general. You know, I try to make the best of situations, and I take this as a learning chance for, you know, understanding more things, getting smarter, and improving my knowledge. And that's, you know, I thoroughly enjoy that in life. So, you know, your mileage may vary. Okay, we shall never speak of some of those things. So, let me tell you, this thing is abso-frickin-lutely, like, there is more silicone in here than you can think there would be. Yeah, and yeah, what we're looking at is this relay. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posts. I've tried to take some pictures of these things. It is just tiny, and at my age I don't see so good, but if I can get a good shot and show you what the bad solder joint looks like. But what we want to do here is I've had my soldering iron warming up. I know, again. All right, it's warm. Another thing I have is my solder sucker. What this does is when you heat the solder up, you put the tip down, just the tip, just for a second, just to see how it feels. Sorry, couldn't resist. And it sucks the solder out. So clearly this solder is no good. We want to get as much of it out as possible. I'm going to show you a trick if you don't have one of these with some other stuff you may have. And I'm going to burn the snot out of myself. So again, people, when something in your head goes, man, you're doing this wrong, or this isn't the best way to do this, listen, because it's probably going to matter. All right, we got you spring loaded. So we'll just hit that one. And that one. Okay, so what I'm hoping is the camera catches this pretty well. Let's move all this stuff. So, regular good old-fashioned copper speaker wire. if you don't have a solder sucker, if you've got flux, which maybe you don't have flux, but you can get flux from a lot of places. What you're doing is you're going to take some flux and put it around this. And I know for you types out there that are like, man, that's way too much. You're absolutely right. But it's okay, because what we want it to do, there's something else you can use. It's a little desolder rope, and I can't remember what the frick it's called. I'm going to have to put something in the post it and say, oh yeah, that's what it's called. The name escapes me right now. But it's just a little wire with flux in it, and it helps remove solder. So what happens is, with this on your tips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Right. Yeah. You just put this down, and as that heats up, it'll suck the solder literally right out of that. As you can see, it's bubbling. There's solder climbing up that right now. So if you want to do it, you know, if you don't have anything else, that will do it. And clearly that's working. And I'll just do the other two that I've sucked, just 'cause. And like I said, it'll just suck all that solder right off of that joint. This is all full of solder now. So that's a solution if you need it. But you want to clean all this up. And if you don't have electrical contact cleaner, which I have, then rubbing alcohol, the highest grade you have, will be just fine. Alright, so now we're going to just apply a dab of solder to each one of these. And I'm just tinning my soldering iron. Alright, I think that's done. We'll let that settle for a second. And I got to move some stuff, because after it dries and it cools down, I'm just going to half-fast put this back together and slap it in the car and see if we get rid of the coat. It may come up initially. And it didn't. So let's see if we can clear it out. It cleared. Holy smokies, kids. Alright, so we'll, yeah. Let's try this again. Let's fire her up. Nope. We're in there. Yep. The low fuel is acceptable, but come on, focus. There you go. There you go. All right, so now what we got to do is tear this thing, not tear it apart, I only stuck 2 fasteners in it. Take it back apart, get it back on the bench, seal it up. Let's get at it. All right, well, since I was a little rough, I'm going to clean up this just to knock down the rough edges where I was rough to her. And obviously this thing is out in the elements, so you'll want to put some new silicone on it. I like this Ultra Blue. It's good. It's got decent temperature, and it's sensor safe. And as you look around here, you can see, I mean, there's a fair amount of RTV here. I'm sorry, silicone. So, and again, this is sensor safe. So if I get some on these components, it's acceptable. I'm definitely going to get some on me. Because I can't not get it on me. That's just kind of the way I roll sometimes. Okay, let's see if I can get this back together. All right, let's get these fasteners down. Good squeeze out. That's exactly what I was hoping to see all the way around. All right. Get a little water on here and she'll clean right up. All right, well, I spent a few minutes cleaning it up. Part of the reason I spent that was to make sure that like nothing got on this connector, because what happens if I put this connector on and it's got silicone in it and it's sealed? Now it won't come off. Remember, you're probably going to be the next person back in working in there, so at least try to take care of yourself. Again, save yourself from yourself if possible, because sometimes we are our own worst enemies in these kinds of things. And you know, there's nothing worse than fixing something and 6 months later you come back at it and you're like, oh man, I didn't do this, or I should have done that a little better, and it's just, now it's even worse. So yeah, so let that dry for, well, I don't know what you use, but I use got to dry for 24 hours, and then it's going to go back in the car. So welcome back. It's been 24 hours. This is all sealed up, secured. So we're going to install this. Just remember, on this gasket there was a little bit of seal. We had to pry it off. So we're going to just put a little dab of sealant right around here and put it back in. And I just realized I'm not in a position for the, so apparently I'm going to have to move the cameras and then come back. So this is what I'm talking about. It's just a really thin seal. I put a little bit on and just wiped it down the gasket with my finger. Now we're going to put it in and then put in our 6 torque screws. And the trick is going to be not getting the sealant all over everything in here as we put it back in. The trick is getting these fasteners in these little holes, because they're tiny. The holes are small, obviously, but they're not in good locations either. So I just shoved my hand down in there and messed with it until I found it. There's something to be said here, and I'm just going to leave it alone because it's too easy. All right, so after you get it installed, you got this one plug on the bottom, just slide straight up in. Then the larger plug goes in and locks down. And then don't forget that little white safety clip. All right, so now let's see what happens. All right, That's A-okay. I mended something. Well, and no, you're not going crazy. I got a haircut. I couldn't finish this in the time, but anyway. So that's how you do all of that. That you saw every step of it. In the first video, you saw the code, the troubleshooting, and going through the process to fix it. And in this video, you saw, we found the problem, fixed the problem, and that's where we are. And now a repaired vehicle it just needs a little while to cure for that sealant on that seal, and it'll be good to go. Thanks for watching Maintainer's Garage. Hope you have a great day.